The teasers dropped. The fandom went silent. In an instant, the entire K-pop world was turned upside down. Millions of dollars frozen, arrest warrants pending, and the legendary godfather of the world's biggest boy group facing the unthinkable.
Oh, it gives me chills just hearing it out loud.
Right. Welcome to StarScope K-Report. Join Eric and Minji as they ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates. From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
And honestly, it is so fantastic to be sitting down for this deep dive with you today. The K-pop landscape is definitely no stranger to drama, but the sheer scale of the corporate and, well, the legal shockwaves we're looking at right now, it's just truly unprecedented.
Yeah, unprecedented doesn't even begin to cover it. I mean,
yeah.
For everyone listening right now, you know how incredibly fast this industry moves. Like 1 minute you're streaming a comeback, voting for your alt bias, and the next you're, reading a financial report that literally threatens the existence of your favorite agency.
Exactly. It's giving everyone whiplash.
So true. So our mission for this deep dive today is to unpack the explosive headline that is currently breaking the internet. It's dominating fandom Twitter. It's all over Wall Street forums. And the headline is literally, "They found the evidence. Bang Si-hyuk's career is officially over."
I mean, it's the kind of headline that just forces you to stop scrolling immediately.
Oh, totally.
Because it completely bridges that gap between, pop culture and high-stakes federal finance.
Yeah, and the stakes here are absolutely monumental. We're pulling from sources today like the Korea Herald, Kpop, Souls, and Koreabu to really try and understand this massive, multi-million-dollar fraud probe against HYBE's chairman.
Which is it's a lot to process.
It is. And we are also breaking down a shocking court ruling that just validated Hee-jin's plagiarism claims.
Which the K-netz are just going crazy over.
Well, they are losing it. And then we're going to explore the ultimate paradox, which is how BTS is pulling off literally the biggest comeback in history, right in the middle of this total corporate meltdown.
Yeah, the contrast there is staggering. You have the absolute pinnacle of artistic achievement happening simultaneously with what might be the deepest corporate crisis the K-pop industry has ever faced.
Definitely. So let's just get right into it, starting with the story that is leaving fandoms in absolute shock. The architect of HYBE, the man so many fans viewed as the literal father of their ultimate bias groups, is facing potential arrest over a $146 million IPO scandal.
It's hard to even wrap your head around that number.
Right. To really grasp this, we have to look back at the timeline of HYBE's 2020 initial public offering. Because according to our sources, police are seeking an arrest warrant for Chairman Bang Si-hyuk over an alleged investor fraud scheme that actually traces all the way back to 2019.
Yeah, and the mechanics of this alleged scheme are exactly what the authorities are zeroing in on right now. So the allegation is that back in 2019, Bang explicitly told early investors that there were absolutely no plans for HYBE to go public.
Wait, no plans at all?
Right. He allegedly insisted an IPO wasn't happening. And by convincing them of that, he tricked them into selling their shares early at a much lower valuation to this private equity fund called Eastone PE.
Oh, wow. And this is where the true crime element really kicks in for me. Because Eastone PE wasn't just some random investment firm, right? It's tied to an ex-HYBE director.
Yes, which is basically the linchpin of the entire investigation. Because when HYBE did go public in October 2020, its valuation obviously exploded.
Oh, went to the moon.
Right. So those early shares that Eastone PE bought on the cheap were suddenly worth an absolute fortune. Eastone PE made a massive profit, and the authorities are alleging that Bang had this prearranged backroom deal to receive a secret 30% cut of those specific gains.
A 30% cut. I mean, that is astronomical. We are talking about roughly 190 billion won. That's around 136 to 146 million US dollars.
It's insane money.
It feels like we are literally watching a tense corporate K-drama, like Reborn Rich, where these billionaires are just quietly moving chess pieces to steal from their own early supporters.
That's a perfect comparison.
And the domestic Korean netizens, the K-netz, they are outraged by the sheer betrayal of it all. But what really strikes me here is how the legal system is actually escalating this. This isn't just a rumor mill anymore.
No, not at all. The authorities are taking tangible, really aggressive action. The Seoul Southern District Court just approved the freezing of 106 billion won in assets belonging to 3 Eastone PE officials.
Oh.
And remember, back in November, they already froze 157 billion won of Bang's personal assets. So the authorities have now seized over 260 billion won tied to this specific case.
That is just, wow.
Yeah. The court has stated on the record that there are substantial grounds to determine these suspects acquired criminal proceeds.
And they even have evidence suggesting HYBE was actively preparing for the IPO as early as April 2019, which is months before Bang allegedly told those early investors it wasn't happening.
Exactly. Now, HYBE is maintaining that there were no violations of relevant laws during the IPO process, and they've emphasized that freezing assets, it doesn't equal a guilty verdict.
Sure, yeah. Innocent until proven guilty and all that.
Right. But Bang is now returning to Korea from overseas to face the probe, and he even sent an internal email expressing regret for the chaos.
I bet he did.
And the fact that police requested arrest warrants for him in April and May, even though they were temporarily rejected, it just shows how seriously the prosecutors are building this case. It is like a textbook example of owner risk playing out in real time.
Okay, wait, I'm stuck on something here. And I know a lot of stands listening right now are probably wondering the exact same thing. Bang stepped down as CEO a while ago. He is just the chairman now.
Right.
So why does this owner risk actually threaten the daily lives and the comebacks of the artists we love? Like if a billionaire gets his personal bank accounts frozen, does that actually stop a music video from dropping?
It's a great question, and the answer is really rooted in how corporate debt works. Owner risk is a massive, glowing red flag for institutional investors. So even if Bang isn't the CEO managing the day-to-day scheduling of idol comebacks, he is still the controlling shareholder.
Gotcha.
And when a founder is facing federal fraud charges, the company's stock price inevitably crashes, which, HYBE's did. Mm-hmm. And when your stock crashes, your corporate valuation drops, which heavily affects your ability to refinance debt.
Okay, so it restricts the actual cash flow of the company itself.
Exactly. These major entertainment agencies, they operate on massive lines of credit to fund stadium tours, global marketing, and those high-end music video productions.
Right, because that stuff isn't cheap.
Not at all. And if banks see owner risk, they might refuse to refinance loans, or worse, they might demand immediate cash or physical collateral. And in the music industry, the most valuable collateral an agency has is the artist's music catalogs or the exclusive rights to their future revenues.
Wow.
So the idols themselves might be perfectly fine in the recording booth, but the entire financial infrastructure, paying the staff, the stylists, and securing the venues, it's all built on a foundation of corporate stability.
That makes so much sense. So it's basically like having the most beautiful, luxurious mansion on the block, but the foundation underneath it is quite literally sinking into the red.
Exactly.
And if you think a multi-million-dollar fraud probe is the only legal nightmare HYBE is facing right now, well, just wait till you hear the absolute bombshell the court just dropped about NewJeans and ILLIT. But before we get into that, if you love staying updated on your favorites, make sure you're subscribed to StarScope K-Report. We've got even bigger scoops ahead.
Yes, definitely subscribe. Because while the foundation of that mansion is shaking from the founder's financial scandal, the walls are simultaneously being torn apart from the inside. We have to look at the explosive legal battle HYBE just lost against its former subsidiary CEO, Hee-jin.
Yeah, the court dropped an absolute nuke on the industry with this one. The Seoul Central District Court ordered HYBE to fork over 25.5 billion won, which is $17.6 million, to former Ador CEO Hee-jin.
It's a massive payout.
Massive. The ruling completely validates her put option. And I mean, for anyone who has followed this saga, just imagine a split screen in your mind right now. On one side, you have these intense fandom debates over NewJeans and ILLIT's debut styling. And on the other side, a glowing 25.5 billion won check being handed directly to Hee-jin.
Yeah, that is absolutely the mood on K-pop forums today.
It really is.
And just to clarify the mechanics of this victory, a put option is basically this ironclad clause in her shareholder contract. It gave her the right to force HYBE to buy her shares back at a massive pre-calculated valuation.
Which they obviously didn't want to do.
Right. HYBE tried to terminate that shareholder agreement entirely. Their defense was that she plotted to separate NewJeans from the label and thereby breached her contract and caused immense reputational damage.
But the court completely rejected that defense. They ruled that her explorations of, independents were premised on assuming HYBE's consent so it didn't cross the line into a serious breach of contract?
Right.
But here is the real bombshell. The court ruled that Min raising concerns about Belift Labs group ILLIT copying NewJeans was actually a valid management decision.
I mean, this is the part of the ruling that is going to change the industry forever.
100%. According to Star News via Kpop, the court noted that based on reports, ILLIT did have similarities in concept, styling, and choreography. And they stated that Belift Lab failed to present sufficient evidence to refute the plagiarism claims.
It's just wild to hear a court actually say that.
Yeah. And the domestic reaction to this is deafening. K-netz are declaring this an all-kill for Min Hee-jin.
Yeah.
And if you are new to the Hallyu wave and listening right now, an all-kill usually means a song has swept the #1 spot on every single major music chart.
But here, they're using it to say she has completely swept the court of public opinion and the legal system.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, though, international fans of ILLIT are just devastated. You have this incredibly talented rookie group completely caught in the crossfire of this massive corporate warfare.
Yeah, you really feel for the idols in all this.
You do. And the judges were very specific, actually. They stated that petitions from the parents of NewJeans members who were expressing deep concerns about the similarities couldn't just be dismissed as misunderstanding. But, the legal implications are what's truly fascinating here.
But wait, I have to challenge this from a creative standpoint for a second. Because every generation of K-pop has a defining sound and a defining visual style. Like, you look at Y2K nostalgia right now, it's absolutely everywhere.
Oh, for sure.
So if the court legally recognizes that the K-pop is similar to NewJeans, where do we draw the line between an agency just following a massive K-pop trend and actual actionable plagiarism? Like, how do you legally own a vibe?
That is exactly it. You've hit on why this ruling is sending absolute shockwaves through the boardrooms right now. It is notoriously difficult, honestly almost impossible, to copyright a vibe or a broad aesthetic like Y2K baggy jeans.
Right.
But what tipped the scales here wasn't just two groups wearing similar clothes, it was the internal paper trail. Yeah. During the hearings, Min's side claimed an informant stated that ILLIT's creative director specifically requested NewJeans' early confidential planning materials.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it crosses from just, trend chasing into literal internal corporate espionage.
Precisely. They alleged that the resulting proposal for ILLIT was nearly identical to NewJeans' original concept plan.
That's crazy.
It is. So the court didn't necessarily rule that ILLIT committed criminal copyright infringement in a vacuum. Rather, they ruled that Min Hee-jin had legitimate, evidence-based reasons to raise the alarm internally about corporate cannibalism.
That makes perfect sense.
Right. So punishing her or trying to void her put option for doing her fiduciary duty to protect the value of NewJeans, the court said that was legally wrong.
Wow. Okay. That is a huge distinction. It's not about owning a trend. It's about the internal mechanics of a parent company quietly stripping the intellectual property of one subsidiary to artificially boost another. But it's incredibly toxic.
It really is.
And this isn't even over, because Ador currently has a separate 43 billion won damages suit pending against Min, Danielle, and her family.
Yeah, the legal fees alone there are staggering. And the emotional toll on the idols, the machinaes and the visuals who are just trying to perform for their fans, it's immense.
Absolutely. But despite all this legal chaos, despite the millions in frozen assets, the owner risk, and this brutal courtroom drama, HYBE's revenue is somehow still breaking world records.
Which is just, it defies logic.
It really does. How is that even mathematically possible? Well, we'll reveal the $478 million reason in just a second. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss a KT update.
And honestly, this brings us to what we can only call the ultimate K-pop paradox. How does an entertainment empire that is facing federal fraud probes and losing massive internal lawsuits continue to thrive on paper?
Because the ultimate kings of K-pop are literally carrying the entire industry on their backs right now.
Yep.
If you look at the raw data right now, just imagine a stock market graph plummeting dramatically, right? But overlaid right on top of it are exploding fireworks and the fastest spinning album sales counters you've ever seen.
It's a great visual.
That is the reality of HYBE today. According to Seoul's, BTS just dropped their first full studio album in 6 years, titled Orang.
And the statistics on this are historic.
Beyond historic. If you are listening to this, you already know the unmatched power of ARMY, but these numbers are mind-blowing even for them. 4 million copies sold on day one.
Wow.
Yeah, 641,000 U.S. units. 208,000 vinyls sold in a single week, which, by the way, is the highest weekly vinyl total for any group in the world since modern tracking began in 1991.
That is unbelievable.
And they secured a Billboard Hot 100 #1 with the lead single swim. And, just to casually add to the resume, they booked the 2026 FIFA World Cup final halftime show alongside Madonna and Shakira.
I mean, it is the absolute zenith of global pop dominance.
Sure.
But here's the paradox we mentioned earlier. Because of this monumental comeback, HYBE's Q1 2026 revenue hit a record $478 million.
Which is huge.
Right. Yet in that exact same quarter, HYBE reported a $133 million operating loss.
Okay, wait, you have to explain that to me because it sounds impossible. How do you generate almost $500 million in record-breaking revenue and still report a $133 million loss to your investors?
Okay, so it comes down to a very specific corporate accounting maneuver. That $133 million loss was primarily a one-time non-cash item.
Yeah.
Chairman Bang decided to donate a massive amount of his personal shares to the employees as a bonus. And under accounting rules, even though no physical cash left the company's bank accounts, giving away equity has to be recorded on the books as an operating expense, basically as employee compensation.
Okay, so it's a paper loss, not an actual cash loss.
Exactly.
That shouldn't panic the stock market too much then, right?
Right. You would think so, but even when financial analysts adjusted for that one-time share donation, HYBE stock still crashed 24%.
24%? Wait, why?
Because the market is utterly terrified of the leadership. Investors are looking at the fraud probe, the asset freezes, the vicious Ador lawsuit, and they're concluding that while the underlying business, like the artists, are thriving, the executive leadership is a massive, unpredictable liability.
Oh man, it brings us right back to that sinking mansion metaphor.
It really does.
The artists are doing their job flawlessly. The music is incredible. The choreography is sharp. The fan engagement is through the roof. But the corporate level is fundamentally failing them. And honestly, Army-wise are in a state of pure euphoria over the comeback. Like they are practically ignoring the corporate drama to focus solely on the music and celebrating that massive FIFA halftime show, which is, a totally understandable reaction.
It's the healthiest way for fans to engage with it, honestly. But if we pull back and look at the macroeconomics of the K-pop industry right now, HYBE isn't the only legacy agency showing serious structural fractures.
Oh, definitely not.
We are witnessing a massive shift across the board, particularly with what analysts are calling the JYP exodus.
Yes. Oh my gosh. While HYBE is battling owner risk and internal lawsuits, JYP Entertainment is dealing with a totally different kind of crisis, which is an artist exodus. Twice's Jeongyeon and Chaeyoung have officially left JYP after 14 incredible years with the agency.
It's the end of an era.
It really is.
Yeah.
Chaeyoung literally stepped out and started her own independent label called LIL Fantasy. Jeongyeon signed with VO Entertainment to pivot her career. And the rumor mill is spinning completely out of control right now that GU and ZUYU might be the next ones to leave.
And the financial markets are reacting violently to this as well. JYP Entertainment shares recently fell more than 8%, with financial analysts directly citing the uncertainty of Twice's contract renewals as a major risk factor.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, and 1CEs, the fandom, are highly emotional right now. They are shedding tears over the members leaving what has essentially been their second home for a decade and a half, while collectively holding their breath and praying for a Misamo subunit contract renewal.
It really makes me wonder about the broader shifts happening behind the scenes, like with the new 2026 contract reforms coming into effect, which are designed to heavily restrict the old restrictive slave contract culture and give idols far more leverage over their intellectual property. Are we witnessing the actual end of the Big Four monopoly? Are SM, JYP, YG, and HYBE finally losing their iron grip on the industry?
I really believe we are. For the past 2 decades, the Big Four agencies controlled everything, right? The trainee system, the distribution networks, the media access.
Everything.
If you wanted to be a star, you had to play by their rules. But today, K-pop is a $20 billion global industry. Artists like Chaeyoung have built such massive personal brand equity over 14 years that they just no longer need the traditional agency machinery to survive.
Right, they can just do it themselves.
Exactly. When you combine artists realizing their independent financial worth with the sheer corporate instability we're seeing at places like HYBE, the center of gravity is undeniably shifting. Power is moving away from the boardrooms and finally landing back in the hands of the talent.
That is a profound shift. The idols are recognizing that they are the product, the marketing, and the profit all rolled into one. And the music itself, the Hallyu wave, is shining brighter and reaching further globally than it ever has in history. But the structural bones underneath those shiny skyscrapers are showing some incredibly serious fractures.
And those fractures are getting harder and harder for the executives to hide with just a well-produced music video.
Yeah, they really are. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought to chew on for today. As K-pop scales into this massive $20 billion global powerhouse, the problems have officially upgraded. We aren't just talking about petty fan wars or styling complaints anymore. We are talking about federal fraud probes, asset freezes, and stock market crashes. If the artists, the idols sweating in the practice rooms, are the ones generating all the actual tangible value, while the executives in the boardrooms are generating all the financial and legal risk, is it only a matter of time before the idols band together and start buying out the agencies themselves? Think about it.
Now that is a wild thought to end on.
You've been listening to StarScope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.